Summer is coming to an end, and October spooky season is right around the corner. But that doesn't mean we can't start watching spooky movies right now, you know? We're always in the mood. So let me go ahead and start off by asking you, what is your favorite scary movie? Let's get into it. Yes, welcome to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. Welcome back if you're returning. And yes, today I will be reviewing Weapons. This movie came out August 8th, 2025. Directed and written by Zach Cregger. Now, Zach Cregger, well, let me go ahead and give you the synopsis. When all but one child from the same classroom mysteriously vanishes on the same night at exactly the same time, a community is left questioning who or what is behind their disappearance. Now, Zach Cregger, he's done like other movies, I wouldn't mention them, but the one that I will mention that came out in 2022 is Barbarian. Now that movie, I think I watched it on Max. I definitely didn't watch it at the movie theater. I don't even think it came out at the movie theater because I think it was during the pandemic. But that movie, as soon as I watched it, I was like, oh, this guy's cooking. That movie was so good to me. I don't want to overhype it because, overhyping does somewhat kill. Like it just hurts. I will say that movie was really good. To the point where I was like, you know what? I'm willing to go to whatever this guy makes next. And I did. And this is it. Now, let me tell you, when it comes to new talent, when it comes to new directors and writers, stuff like that, you're really sort of taking everything with a grain of salt or like with some like skepticism, because even great directors and writers somewhat flop, and as time goes on, it's a really up and down type of stock watching type of situation. You can either go, and this is no disrespect to these people, but you can either go to this person, but you can either go the M. Night Shyamalan type of route or Jordan Peele. Now, Shyamalan, at one point earlier on, he had made a big hit, The Sixth Sense. I'm just gonna put it. I don't know why I'm tripping on my words, but that plot twist, mind blowing. People were like, oh my gosh, and that was like the hook. People came back, somewhat disappointed at times, but he had some hits here and there. Unbreakable. What's that other one? Split. He had some gems throughout his career. Most recently, it seems like it's declined, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he came back with a banger. But there is that sort of rolling the dice. But he's on a decline as of right now. That's why I'll put him there. Or you can either go the Jordan Peele route, and he did Get Out, which was amazing. He did somewhat dip with Us. I didn't personally like Us, but he surged back up with Nope. I personally liked it. I hear some people didn't. Maybe you didn't get it, but I personally loved it. I thought it was a great movie. It was deep and it was great. I personally loved that movie. But it like you either miss or hit type of thing, and honestly, I think he's going up there with Jordan Peele. This guy, he did it again, There are some things that I would follow this movie with, but overall, it's nothing but good, The visuals, okay. Yeah, let me just tell you what I personally liked about the movie overall. The visuals were great. There's sort of some running scenes. There's one in an alley that I particularly liked. I spoke over to my friend. I was like, hey, that's a really good shot. Some of the one takes throughout the whole, some areas, Also, just the sound. There's some effects that happen when these people start running. Just a little bell. Oh man, there's so much I want to talk about without spoiling it, because I really do not want to spoil this. If you've seen the trailer, if you have not seen the trailer, I urge you to go watch it blindly, because the reason to it I was satisfied with, you know. So far, I've seen some people say they've liked it. I haven't heard somebody say they didn't. I think my friend liked it. I'm not sure. I think he liked it. Honestly, his vibe was thrown off. But I'm not gonna shit talk him. Maybe I don't know if horror is his favorite genre. But is this horror? Maybe this is a psychological thriller. Maybe that's what threw him off. Maybe he was expecting a horror movie, but what he got was a psychological thriller. There's two movies that I would describe this movie as, but just to not spoil it, I'll go ahead and mention at the end with the spoiler warning. But I'm not sure how he felt about the ending. I personally liked it. I feel like he was having a good time up until that point. But that's okay, you know. Like it was there was a hook there. And you know, when it comes to those type of movies, sometimes the ending, the resolution, the answer doesn't always hit. But that's okay, because you know, that's just everything. You know, sometimes it does hit, it doesn't hit. But regardless, I feel like the setup, the everything in between, everybody's perspective was amazing. I enjoyed it. But let me tell you, maybe this is where he kind of lost it. Maybe this is where the movie kind of lost him, my friend who I went to go watch it with. You're probably watching this, but what I'll say about this movie, it's how can I say this? It's well paced. It's well paced. Maybe that's where I lost him, because there's various perspectives from this movie, from all these actors that I'm gonna talk about, and once you feel like you're gonna get an answer, it cuts and jumps to another one. This movie is like 2 hours long. Maybe that's where some of the people would say maybe like 30 minutes of this movie could get cut. But somebody who really enjoys movies, I will enjoy any and every little, like, you know, shot and dialogue, even if it's just breathing and just like, you know, like it just fills up the world for me personally. But I could hear somebody's argument of saying 30 minutes of this movie could have been cut, you know, because of the fact that, you know, it does. It's just well paced. I feel like it is. Maybe a little, like, how do I say this? The Batman, I personally feel The Batman is a very long movie. It's a great movie, but I don't think I could rewatch it over again because of how long it is, and how like that all those 2 hours is just world building, you know? Mind you, that is a franchise, but this movie also does that. It fills the whole space in those 2 hours, to the point where you're like, oh man, like I want the answer already. And maybe once you get the answer, it's like, why is it still going? It should just get cut here. It should just be resolved sooner rather than later. So maybe that's one of the critiques that I could somewhat understand. But even as I explain that, I'm all like, I enjoyed the 2 hours. I loved it. I really liked it. And also the music. That was, hold on, let me backtrack a little. The music, I'll talk about the music later on. But that's somewhat of the negativity that I would say. But some of that negativity that I can recognize, not something that I personally dislike from it. Maybe that's why I give it an 8.5. I still haven't cataloged it in my letterbox, but I'll go ahead and just give it an 8.5. Just because, yeah, it is long, but I enjoyed it. But that does knock off a little bit of the rewatchability factor. I don't think I would rewatch it again. Maybe a second time, but definitely not a third time. Not like Superman. I enjoyed Superman. Yeah, that one's also pretty long, and it does world build a lot, but I just like being in that world because it's DC. But this one is grim and dark, and you know, rewatching it several times, saying you like being in that world is just, it does bring you down a little because of the theme of it, and like the sort of like distress that some of the people have, and like, you know, kids are missing, so that's just a little dark. But that's just some of the negatives that I recognize. Don't personally feel similar to, but I recognize them. I definitely do. The visuals I liked. Like I said, I don't know if I said it, but there's like a scene in an alleyway where it sort of like pans. There's also a scene where somebody's in the woods, and that's like, you know, it's sort of like panning over. It's beautiful. This movie is well shot. Also, some like one shots. Is there a one shot? There's like a scene in the trailer where you sort of see like the camera just go down the stairs, and then you see like a little kid running like out in the distance, but like through like the door frame. That was cool. Also, the kids running and the camera footage from the Ring cameras, it's just eerie. I really like that. I like the whole vibe of it all. Now for the music. Oh, the music. It's amazing. It levels everything, you know? It levels up. Like there's a song, I can't tell you what it is, but it's like in the first sequence of the movie. I think we get the titles. It's freaking amazing. I thought it was the Rolling Stones at first. I could be wrong, but I'm not sure what it is. You just see the little kids running, and it's just that song playing. And then also this like sort of like little, oh man, I'm not musically inclined, so I can't really tell you, but honestly I think I might listen to the soundtrack like throughout this whole week, because it's so like, it's good, you know? And like it's not like a cheesy horror movie type. It has its character. It has, I feel like there was like a marimba in there. Again, I'm not musically inclined, but like, so I'm just talking like an idiot at this point. But if you have time, go ahead and listen to it and you'll see what I'm talking about, or just go watch the movie and you'll see what I'm talking about. Now for the cast and the acting. Now, let me go ahead and give you some of the characters and where they fit. Well, I'll give you 4. Julia Gardner plays the teacher whose class disappears. Josh Brolin plays the father of one of the kids who disappears. Aiden Ehrenreich is one of the police officers who's just, I don't think he's in charge of the case, but he's just there. Benedict Wong is the boss of Justine, of Julia Gardner, and the principal of the school. And Austin Abrams is James, who is just this guy who hangs around in the town who's an addict. Now, these 4, let me tell you, Julia Gardner and Josh Brolin, I thought they were going to be the main characters, like they were going to be like the main focus of it all, but not really. They've like, this movie is very well divided. Although when it comes to the marketing, they're the main focus, and it's really a shame because honestly, Aiden Ehrenreich, Benedict Wong, and Austin Abrams, specifically Austin Abrams, are amazing. Austin Abrams, I'm gonna give him his flowers because I watched him in Euphoria. I recently watched him in Wolves, where he was with Brad Pitt and George Clooney, and he held himself very well in that movie. And then he shows up on this movie. Honestly, Austin Abrams is a good actor. The fact that he's getting all these roles and he's just popping up here and there, I'm like, hey guy, lock in, because you're a really good actor. Like, I really hope I see him in more things. Benedict Wong, I do remember him from, of course, the Doctor Strange movies and the Avengers movies, but I've also watched him in this show that got canceled early on called Deadly Class. I think it was in Sci-Fi or TNT. He did good he did very well in there, but he also had that sort of like same vibe of like, you know, being like a sort of like Wong, but sort of deadlier. But in this one, he was like a jolly teacher, principal, and he was believable. I liked his role as well. Now, Josh Brolin, Julia Gardner, Josh Brolin, I felt his pain of like, you know, this guy loses his son, and again, not a lot of spoilers, but you see how he's taking it. He's somewhat beating himself up because it seems like this guy hasn't told his son how much he loves him, you know. He has this great monologue that really hits you. That really hit me. I was like, damn, maybe hopefully you come out of the situation with your son and become a better person. I won't say if he does or doesn't, but it seems like if he did get his son back, maybe he would be a better person. But he's good. Julia Gardner, I like that they didn't hire. She did great in this Fantastic Four movie, by the way. I still haven't reviewed that movie, but I sure will. I'm not very familiar with her work. I know she was in Ozark. I did watch her in Fantastic Four. I think she played Anna Delvey, the I forgot where she's from, but she was like stealing from a lot of people. And I've seen memes of her where she has an accent. But this is like one of the things that I've really seen her on. And she was a believable teacher. Not gonna lie, she was only okay. But I know that she's an amazing actress because of the Fantastic Four. So I'm not gonna like shit talk her and say she was only okay. She's not that good of an actress. She is, but she just didn't have like as an amazing role as some of the actors, as some of the other actors in this movie did. Sorry that I'm tripping on my words, but yeah, I do recognize her game. She's really good, but just not in this movie. She's sort of like she's just sort of like the sacrificial person that, it's like we're all just gonna blame, but maybe she did do it, who knows. I'm not saying. Now there's two other people that I want to highlight, and these two other characters, okay. Oh, one more thing that I do want to mention is that this movie is sort of set up like Barbarian, where there are segments. Oh, I think I already mentioned it. There are segments of these all these characters that sort of like cut and then they jump and focus on this main person. That's sort of like, I think I mentioned it, where I'm sure some of the people didn't like where he just cut. We sort of start off with Justine. We get her stuff, and right when it's like rising, like we sort of cut to Archer, Josh Brolin's character, and then we cut to whoever. But I feel like slowly, even though it does sort of like set us back to like sort of like it winds it up. It's sort of like a Jack in the Box. It winds it up, but it doesn't just like pop up. Like it sort of does, but then you just want answers, and it sort of does that over and over again. But I feel personally like as it did that, it did give you answers. It just didn't give you the whole picture. You gotta watch all these and like put the whole picture together at the end. But yeah. It does have that comparison to Barbarian. I'm not knocking it, honestly. Although this is his second time, so maybe it's not as overused. But if he does a third movie and that's how it's set up, maybe it will be a little bit of like overkill. But as of right now, I'm eating it up. Okay, now I'm gonna go into a little bit of the spoiler review. I'm not gonna give you all the spoilers, but I'm just gonna give you these two actors who I want to really highlight. Again, not super major spoilers, but just the teeniest tiniest. Now, here. The two actors that I want to highlight are Kerry Christopher as Alex and Amy Gadigan. I don't want to say Amy Gadigan's character's name, but just know that she's in this movie, Amy Gadigan. I believe she's married to Ed Harris. Yeah, she's married to Ed Harris. Ed Harris is the guy from Westworld. He's also been on other movies, but that's the one that I really recognize him from. He was in Westworld, the man in the black hat. I'm not gonna say what her role is, how she is, but let me just tell you, she's a very like colorful, theatrical character, and I freaking loved it, As for Kerry Christopher, this little boy is one of the kids in the classroom, but he's the only one who doesn't disappear. And when it comes to reviewing, you don't really want to talk down on a kid's. It's very like very looked down upon when it comes to reviewing and critiquing child actors. because at the end of the day, he is just a child. But let me tell you, this little kid, he was amazing. He really sold it. His face acting, even when he wasn't even saying anything, this kid looked pissed and he looked scared and he had all these emotions in just his face all at once. And like, never did I think, oh, like, you know, it, like he held it. He didn't break the illusion that he was this kid. Oh, this kid. Oh, man, I need water. This kid who was just like in this like very difficult situation, and it never broke that illusion. You just felt bad for him, and you're like, this kid's going through some traumatic stuff, and like you can only see how he will be later in the future. I think the director said that he would want to come back to this universe and make a sequel. It would be so great if he brought this kid back, and just to see the repercussions of like what happened in his town, and like, you know, just oof. There's nothing bad I can say about this kid. He's a great actor, and he did well opposite of Amy Madigan. That's what I'll say. These two, they're like the highlights of this whole movie for me personally. Also, what's his name? Austin Abrams, Carrie Christopher, and Amy Madigan. They were amazing in this movie. I will also say that a lot of comedy did come from Austin Abrams, and also a little bit of James Brolin. Actually, from this whole cast, there was a good amount of comedy here. So, you know, although it is a scary movie, there were some times where it did line it up, but it didn't throw you off. Like, it didn't throw off the whole vibe of it all. It just sort of like, you know, it worked, you know, the comedy of it all. It didn't dilute the horror or nothing. But then again, there was some horror, but it was very just maybe psychological thriller, personally, for me. That's what I would say. But yeah, honestly, I would say go watch it. Again, summer is just winding down, coming to an end. So maybe you don't want to watch it this month. Maybe you watch it at the beginning of the next month, towards October. But really, I wouldn't wait for this movie to come on digital. You need to experience this movie at a movie theater. I will always advocate, I would always recommend you go watch it at a movie theater. There are some movies that I will go ahead and tell you can go ahead and wait, but this one, no, it's a must. It's a must. This one, along with Sinners and F1 and Warfare, these are some of the movies that I recommend you go watch. Superman as well. Fantastic Four, I would say. This one is up there with them, you know. This one you should definitely go watch at a movie theater. It will not disappoint. Do yourself that favor. Okay, as I was editing, I completely forgot that I needed to circle back, because I had two movie recommendations. If I had to pick two movies and sort of combine them to make this movie, I would pick 2013's Prisoners, starring Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal, and 1990's The Witches, starring Anjelica Huston. Those two are the two movies that I thought of once I saw this movie. You know, horror and thriller. And yeah, I just wanted to mention that. So we can go back now. But yeah, this is my review. I liked it. Down in the description, you can go follow my Letterboxd and my other stuff. Stick around. I will be reviewing more movies, although this will be a slower month, which means it will give me time to catch up with other reviews. But yeah, like and subscribe. Let me know if you will go watch this movie. If you have, let me know what you thought about it, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.